Here real quick. Well, Logan, I guess I'll start. Obviously, this last year has been quite wild for you with everything that's happened with F1. You get the IndyCar test with Meyershank Racing. Obviously, now kind of kicking off your sports car career now here heading into 20 or here in 2025. So just talk about navigating this past year and all these different opportunities and different kind of disciplines of racing. I imagine it's probably been a pretty hectic year for you.
Well, it might sound hectic. For me, it was actually pretty relaxed. I mean, it was more just me kind of taking my time with the whole thing, coming off the back of my 2 seasons in F1, and then just kind of feeling like I needed a little bit of time away from it. But no, right off the back of that F1 season, my last F1 season, obviously I did like you said, I did that Meyer Shank test, which went really well. So that was fun to drive an IndyCar for the first time. I got to that LMP2 test, which again went really well. So it wasn't like things weren't going well. It kind of just you know happened to be that I just wanted a little break. And then yeah, I eventually felt ready to get back into a car. And obviously an amazing opportunity came up with PR1 to do these last two races in IMSA. And it's exciting for me to be able to race at home, not have to. I mean, I've lived in Europe the last 12 years or so, so to have the opportunity to race at home is super exciting. And yeah, I mean, I jumped back in the car. What was it? Just over a week ago now, and it went well, and I felt straight at home again. So everything's good.
It's been a while since you've been sports car racing. It was 2021. You did LMP2 racing that year. So, what has kind of been like just kind of getting back into the swing of things, if you will, running an LMP2 car. And obviously, again, you've been in so many different cars over the last year. So, just talk a little bit about kind of getting back up to speed with running an LMP2 car and getting back into kind of sports car racing here.
Yeah, I think it's a much more simplistic car to drive. That doesn't make it, any easier, but there's a lot less going on. But it still took a little bit to understand what the car needed, because it is slightly different to the LMP2 in Europe. You have a different tire. It's slightly tuned down a little bit more. So your power to downforce ratio actually does change quite a bit, which changes how the car reacts. So there's a little bit of getting used to that. It kind of brought me back to you know old school F3 days where you just have so much downforce, and you kind of have to you know remind yourself how to use that ratio that I was talking about. So that was something. But for me, it was kind of just a good opportunity to, one, feel the car, two, wake my body back up because it had been a little while since I was in a car. And no, I feel like half a day in, I was already starting to feel myself again. Maybe less than that.
Talk about just getting the opportunity. What was kind of that process like? How did the opportunity come about per se? And then obviously, again, just getting the chance to get back into a car here, these final two races at Road Atlanta and Indianapolis, two tracks that are very historic in sports car racing. So just kind of talk about getting that opportunity and kind of the process it went until the announcement was made.
Oh, for sure. I mean, at some point during this year, a few months ago, I decided, okay, I'm ready to get back into it, ready to start racing again. And the opportunity came along pretty quickly. And obviously that was really grateful to get that opportunity. And as you said, Indy and Atlanta, two great tracks, really great races. The chance to actually race, at home again, and um, I don't know, all of it just feels really. I'm trying to think of the right word. It's almost relaxing but exciting. The fact that it's all coming back to the U.S. And I know that's really exciting. I'm just more than anything happy to be in a race car again, and racing and competing against everyone else, and just looking forward to it.
looking at these two races, obviously they're both endurance races, and the last couple of years you've been doing racing at F1, where you guys are usually only running an hour, hour and a half to for your races. So obviously this is going to be kind of a unique test for you going in, kind of returning to racing. So for you, how's that preparation look like in terms of getting kind of like I mentioned, getting back up to speed and kind of getting ready for these endurance races where you're gonna have a 10-hour race at Atlanta, 6-hour race at Indy. You know, they can be grueling. So talk about like the preparation from a physical standpoint and even a mental standpoint coming into races like these where they're gonna be pretty lengthy.
No, for sure. It is grueling. It is different. Um, it's the seat's never perfect because you're compromising for, two other drivers as well. So there's all these factors that you have to deal with that, you didn't have to deal with coming from F1, but that's all part of it. I'm looking forward to it. That truthfully, the most I can do is be active in the gym, just try and stay in shape. And truthfully, like any other sport, the best preparation is being in a car and just kind of building it back up that way. So having that test, a week and a half ago does me wonders for sure, physically going to the first race. And yeah, I mean, it won't be easy. I'm definitely aware of that, but just have to try and, especially, you know, uh, through Indy, dig through that. My body will keep progressing. Then I have a test before Atlanta, and Atlanta is obviously an extremely physical track. So at least I have some build up before that.
Obviously, I know you've been really busy racing the last couple of years in F1. I don't know how much you've had a chance to get to see the IMSA product. I imagine this year you may have gotten a little bit of a chance to see it. But what do you think of IMSA and the state of the series right now? And obviously, seeing a lot of former F1 drivers coming into IMSA and stuff. It's a really exciting time to be a sports car fan, whether in WEC or IMSA. There's a lot of exciting drivers right now coming into the series.
Well, I think one, you have a lot of really, really talented drivers. I think on top of that, clearly sports cars in a great place with all the manufacturers flooding in. GTD, GTP, you want to call it LMDH hypercar. Clearly it's in demand. And that's obviously a huge, huge positive for sports car racing and a huge positive for, professional drivers to, come into that aspect of the sport. And it's something I'm looking forward to, grabbing a hold of and seeing where it takes me. Obviously nothing is planned, past these two races, but for now it's just have some fun, drive again, and see what comes our way.
Absolutely. Recently, you just signed with a guy who is no stranger to sports car racing, Oliver Gavin, Motorsports Management. Talk a little bit about that, and also how has Oliver been able to maybe give you some advice? Obviously, he's an experienced guy in the IMSA paddock, so he knows that paddock very well. So, has he given you any advice in the last week that you've been with his management company heading into these upcoming races?
Yeah, I think firstly, he did a phenomenal job from the moment that we started talking. Truthfully, I think he found this opportunity before we had even signed anything, and then we got it all underway, and he just you could see that the intent was in the right place, and we both felt comfortable together. We were moving in the right direction. Um, to find an opportunity as quick as he did is um, a standout job. That's it's not easy coming off of the break that I've taken, and no, he's been great. Both him and Matt Bell, who he works with. It's a you know huge amount of sports car experience I can lean on. So I wouldn't say we've necessarily dug too deep into it, but for sure we'll have some conversations, particularly before Petit.
I gotta ask, obviously, with the F1 movie recently coming out about a month ago. You were actually in the movie, and IMSA was even in the movie as well. So I have to ask, what has it been like to see racing's growth, from a mainstream perspective in terms of digital media? We see it a lot now in movies, obviously with the F1 movie. We had Gran Turismo. I'm actually having Jan Mardenborough coming on my show here, and he obviously was the big name in that movie. So what is it like to see racing being more involved in kind of this digital media and movies and TV and such, and to be a part of that movie. I mean, what was that like to see yourself on the big screen?
Yeah, I mean it's cool. I mean, as an athlete, as a driver, obviously you're just a raw racing driver. I truthfully don't watch too much of it, if I'm being honest, but nonetheless, I think for fans to kind of you know understand the basics of the sport, start to be introduced to the sport and what the sport's all about, I think it's great, and for sure it brings attention to the sport and all of that is a positive impact. But yeah, for me, I just like being in the car.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. It's hard not to be being behind the wheel of a race car. What are your thoughts of the future of F1? Obviously, Cadillac's coming in next year. There's a lot of excitement with the new car coming out and having you being in the paddock and being around the industry. What is it like to what do you think of the future of F1 and where it is going? There's a lot of changing parts right now as we head to kind of these next couple of years.
Um, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, obviously I slowed down the amount I was watching, but I've started to watch a little bit more recently, and obviously, me and Oscar being good friends, it's good to see him doing as well as he's doing. But in terms of the future of Formula One, I'm not sure. I mean, the cars are changing. I know there's been some mixed feedback about what they're going to provide. So we'll see how those go. I think it's really important to get back to a or not back to, but important to have a car that's raceable, but also performs well. When I watch IndyCar, there's so much more action than what you get in F1, and if they could bring that close together, I think that would be a huge benefit for them. But I mean, it's undeniable the growth that they've had in the past 8 years since Liberty took over. It's been pretty substantial. So I'm sure they'll keep it rolling.
You mentioned IndyCar. When you did get that IndyCar test, was your mindset at that point, was that kind of like, was your initial direction to go in the IndyCar route? Because obviously there was a lot of rumors that came out that maybe there was going to be a seat for you in line, maybe running the Indy 500. Like, was that kind of the initial direction when you came out of F1 and you got that IndyCar test? I mean, was that kind of the initial
Um,
direction, maybe?
Not really. I mean, there was a opportunity to test the car. Um, Obviously, that was of interest, but I wouldn't necessarily say that was the direction I was going. I think we just wanted to kind of test the waters of everything that was available at the time and
Hmm.
just get our feet wet, see which way I kind of was feeling, and ultimately I took a break. But yeah, that was really it. I wouldn't say that was the way I was pushing for, um, but nonetheless, I wasn't going to turn the test down.
Well, I'll close out on this, Logan. I want to kind of look ahead. Obviously, again, these next two races coming up. 2026 is right around the corner. Um, you know, After these two races, you kind of mentioned you kind of really don't know like what's that next move per se. But I mean, what do you hope to be able to take and gain from these two races coming up here with PR1 Mathiasen? And again, like going into 2026, obviously your focus is trying to get into some sort of sports car seat. Do you have an idea of maybe where you might want to go? I know it's tough to look that far down the road, but like kind of what's your vision here over these next, maybe couple of months to what could be led to, I guess I should say.
Yeah, I mean, in the short term, obviously, the goal is just to you know, bring my experience to the team.
Hmm.
Try and help Naveen, help Benjamin as much as I can. Push the team forward, get the best results we can, and on top of that, it's a great two races for me to you know get back into a car, kind of get my eye back in. Like I said, I felt like it already happened pretty naturally in the test, but just keep progressing upon that. Um, and then for the long term, it's like you said, it's really hard to say. I'm really open to anything. Um, I wouldn't say there's anything I'm closed off to. I just want to, have a good first two races and then see what comes across the table and kind of take it from there. So I haven't really thought too much about it.
Well, you mentioned you've been pretty relaxed this last year. You look like you're in a pretty relaxed setting. Is that like a vacation house? Like where are you sitting at right now?
I'm on a lake right now. So I'm still in Florida,
Okay.
but no, I'm very relaxed. I feel like I've changed my demeanor a lot from F1, obviously from the extreme intensity and kind of it drains you quite a lot. So I'm trying not to fall back into that spiral.
I love it.
Just be relaxed and go with it.
I love it. I love it. Well, Logan, I'm very excited to see what's to come for you. Congrats on the opportunity to run with PR1 Mathias, and looking forward to seeing these extra races coming up, and hopefully maybe we'll see each other in the paddock here soon.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Logan. Appreciate it, my
Thank
friend.
you, Logan. Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
guys. Have a
Thanks,
good one.
guys. Appreciate it. Thank
All
you.
right.